We all know about Carlos Kaiser, the football con man who never kicked a ball. As interesting as it sounds, we have yet another con man who this time went the opposite way of wanting to play despite having no football talents whatsoever. I'm talking about Ali Dia, who managed to bamboozle his way into the English Premier League using the most wackiest but interesting strategy you'd ever see. Born on the 20th of August 1965 in Senegal, Dia started his football journey in the lower leagues of France, kicking the ball around for clubs like Dijon, La Rochelle, and Saint-Quentin. Now, you might be thinking, hey, those aren't exactly household names. And you'd be right. Dia's career at this stage was nothing to write home about, with stints at various clubs where he barely left a mark, making no more than 6 appearances at each stop. But wait, here's where the story really starts to get interesting. As Dia realized that his football skills weren't exactly setting the world on fire, he devised a brilliant plan. In an era when scouts were increasingly looking at African talents following George Weah's FIFA Ballon d'Or win, Dia decided to cash in on his proximity to greatness. He started telling clubs that he was none other than the cousin of George Weah himself, dropping names and making claims that would make your head spin. This, of course, would boost his resume, and you'd think no one would buy into that. But in an era with little access to internet, the lie sold. Amazingly, in 1995, Dia found himself in Finland, playing for Finpa in the lower divisions, and maybe his plan wasn't so bad after all, as he earned a salary and had an apartment. However, his lackluster performances didn't escape the watchful eyes of the club, and he vanished into thin air one day. He just left his residence and just vanished. But he'll resurface again that same year, PK 35, another Finnish side, where it was even worse as he only featured 3 times. Then came Germany, where VfB Lübeck had the privilege of witnessing Dia's talents, or lack thereof, for 2 games before he pulled another vanishing act. Now you'd think that he'd just give up seeing that football wasn't his calling, but he didn't. Dia, undeterred by his less than stellar track record, decided to try his luck in the UK. After failed trials at Gillingham, AFC Bournemouth, and Rotherham United, he landed at Blyth Spartans, a non-league club where he made just 1 substitute appearance in a Northern Premier League game against Boston United on November 9, 1996. Now, Dia decided to try a new trick. Still claiming to be George Weah's cousin, he had someone make some calls claiming to be Weah, reaching out to some of the top managers of the time like West Ham, Rotherham, and Gillingham to pitch Ali as their striker. However, none of them chose Ali for their teams. In the end, he reached out to the manager of Southampton. He told Souness that Dia was his cousin and had played for Paris Saint-Germain as well as 13 times for his Senegal and should give him a chance at Southampton. Now, for the fact that George Weah had won the FIFA World Player of the Year in 1995 and called up a bunch of coaches suggesting they pick Ali as a striker in their team had some credibility. Finally and unbelievably, Graham said yes, and Ali Dia was signed on as a striker under a 1-month contract. Well, the truth is that Graham Souness had never met Ali Dia, or even heard of him before. To make things worse, no one had actually seen him play. He got selected in Southampton solely because he was George Weah's cousin. The Southampton players practicing alongside Dia were not convinced of his abilities. In fact, team captain Matt Le Tissier said that he thought that Dia was a random fan who won a lucky vote to train with the team. But he'll soon be in for a shocker when Dia made the match day squad. When Ali Dia finally got his chance to shine on November 23, 1996, against Leeds, it was clear why. Coming on as a substitute for the injured Matt Le Tissier, Dia's performance was nothing short of disastrous. In the words of Le Tissier himself, he ran around the pitch like Bambi on ice. It was very embarrassing to watch. Dia was substituted himself in the 85th minute, and just like that, his Premier League dream turned into a nightmare. As it turns out, the entire George Weah connection was a sham. Southampton fans and staff initially excited about the prospect of a potential star player were left dumbfounded. The lack of internet and resources at the time meant Souness couldn't fact-check Dia's claims, and the con man successfully infiltrated the Premier League. Dia's scam was supposed to be exposed in a friendly reserve game against Arsenal, but fate intervened with a waterlogged pitch, sparing him from further humiliation. Despite the disaster, Souness, in the aftermath of Southampton's 2-0 defeat to Leeds, lamented, "It just goes to show the state of things at the club at the moment that a player I have never even seen, let alone watched playing in a game, was able to play in the Premiership." After just 1 game, Dia was released by Southampton, marking the end of his brief, bewildering stint in the Premier League. Post-Southampton, Dia tried his luck with Port Vale, but ended up playing for Conference National side Gateshead, scoring on his debut in a 5-0 win over Bath City. However, his George Weah hoax was exposed in the national media just a day after his Gateshead debut. Dia, seemingly unfazed by the exposure, laughed off the allegations and even claimed to have recently scored for Senegal in a 3-1 1998 World Cup qualifying win over Guinea. Spoiler alert, that claim was as untrue as his football skills were unimpressive, and Senegal never played Guinea in any World Cup qualifier. After Gateshead, Dia bounced around, pocketing signing on fees and transfer listed by Gateshead due to poor form. But Dia's story doesn't end on the football pitch. After calling it quits to the world of football, or more accurately, being shown the exit, Dia pursued education. He studied business at Northumbria University in Newcastle, graduating in 2001. He didn't stop there, though, as he earned a Master of Business Administration from San Francisco State University in 2003. Post-education, Dia ventured into the business sector in Qatar. In a bizarre turn of events, Dia resurfaced in 2016 when Bleacher Report tracked him down in London. Despite the Southampton fiasco being hurtful to him and his family, Dia insisted he wasn't a liar. According to him, he trained with Southampton for a month and a half, impressing everyone before making his debut. This contradicted earlier reports that suggested he spent less than a week with the club before his infamous 53 minutes of fame. As for who made the initial call to Souness, the man himself claimed his agent dealt with Southampton, introducing an element of mystery and miscommunication. Whether it was Dia's friend from university, Dia's agent, or Dia himself who made the call remains a disputed point in this tangled web of deception. Dia's legacy, if you can call it that, lives on in football infamy. Regularly featured in lists of bad players and bad transfers, he earned the prestigious title of #1 in the 50 Worst Footballers by the Times newspaper, and secured a prime spot on ESPN's ranking of the 50 worst transfers in Premier League history. From Senegal to Finland, Germany to the UK, and a brief stint in the Premier League, Dia's story is a roller coaster of highs, lows, and outright absurdity that continues to baffle and amuse football fans worldwide. It just goes to show how one can easily sell a story, and everyone can buy into it without proper fact-checking. What do you think about Ali Dia's story? Do you think he is one heck of a smart guy, or you classify him as one heck of a con artist? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more interesting videos like this. Bye.